The worker of a Rancheritos Mexican food restaurant in Draper, Utah, quite literally pissed away his chances of ever working in the food industry when he was recorded by a customer urinating into a drain in the back of the kitchen. The incident occurred in December of 2019, and a video of it went viral. Customer Robert Talivokoala later told a media outlet that he'd gone up to the window after receiving no response when trying to place an order at the drive-thru. Talivokoala attempted to get the attention of the unnamed male employee but was reportedly ignored. He began recording the encounter upon realizing that the worker was actively peeing in the kitchen. The health department subsequently confirmed that the incident had taken place and Rancheritos was temporarily closed for sanitation. The employee in question was fired and his food handler permit was revoked. He'd been at the establishment for less than 3 months and was reportedly doing a great job. The worker provided no explanation for why he hadn't gone to the bathroom. In October of 2023, a similar incident went viral, earning tens of millions of views across Chinese social media and beyond. It involved a man who reportedly worked for Tsingtao, China's second largest brewer, and who was caught on video urinating into a tank of raw ingredients at one of the beer maker's plants in Pingdu, a city in the Shandong province. Tsingtao officials responded in the aftermath by saying that the contaminated batch of malt had been sealed off from use and denied that the man had been employed by the plant. Many of those reacting to the incident on Weibo claimed that it had put them off the beer, while others reacted with humor. As one netizen commented, "I've always said the beer here is like horse pee. I've always said the beer here is like horse pee. Turns out I was wrong." Shares of Tsingtao Brewery experienced a sharp fall on the Shanghai Stock Exchange, but subsequently recovered. Number 9. Anthony Orlick. A New York City lawyer was fired from his firm in the spring of 2023 following an incident that occurred on West 35th Street and 6th Avenue in Midtown Manhattan. While passing Brooklyn singer Lizzie Ashley on the street, Anthony Orlick snatched an emerald wig off the woman's head. The wig was sewn into Ashley's hair and the yank caused her neck trauma. She recorded the ensuing confrontation with Orlick, and the clip, which she captioned with "There's demons in NY, I swear," went viral on TikTok. The singer asked Orlick if he was going to apologize, to which the latter replied, "For what?" before grinning at the camera. Ashley demanded to know the reason for his outburst, told him that it wasn't funny, and concluded with, "Do you hate women or something?" Internet sleuths determined that Orlick, who wasn't arrested for the assault, worked for Leder, Burkhorn, Kalau and Silverstein LLP. While the firm didn't name Orlick directly, it subsequently revealed on social media that an associate involved in a non-work related incident that was circulated on social media was no longer with the firm. Number 8. Kylie Rexanne Modisette, a former teacher at Huntington Middle School in Texas, was sentenced to 2 years of probation in the summer of 2016 following a plea deal in which she admitted a Class A misdemeanor distribution of harmful material to a minor. While employed by the school in December of the previous year, Modisette sent 2 nude photos of herself to a male teenager who'd once been in her English class. The student deleted the photos from his phone, but not before a number of his peers had taken screenshots of them, which they then distributed to other students throughout the school. Prior to admitting her guilt, Modisette, who was at the time in her late 20s, had been arrested and released from jail on a $1,500 bail. She was fired from the school, and in light of the scandal, her opportunities of finding employment in the education field were basically reduced to 0. Number 7. Matthew Erskine. From June of 2017 through August of 2020, a lawyer from Arlington, Virginia, used sugar daddy websites to have relations with at least 6 teenage girls from 3 local high schools. According to his online biography, Matthew Erskine entered active duty as an Air Force officer in 1996 and finished his law degree while working at the Pentagon's Defense Information Systems Agency's Communications and Operations Branch. In the summer of 2017, he began accessing sugar daddy websites where he leveraged his wealth to have relations with teenagers. His promises to them ranged from rent-free apartments, luxury cars, and first-class travel to cash, designer clothes, and accessories. He reportedly preferred group relations and would provide drugs and alcohol for the teens during their trysts, which he'd often record without their knowledge. Erskine was also reported to have made arrangements sometimes for them to be picked up from high school and be taken to his apartment. One of his victims suffered a mental breakdown after contracting an STD from the lawyer. After one victim moved out of state, he flew her back to Virginia for the holidays and paid her for intercourse. Erskine was reportedly fully aware that what he was doing was wrong, as he'd messaged one of the teens at one point to say, "None of this is worth risking my career for. I have parents in their late 70s that are relying on me to take care of them." The man, who was in his 40s at the time, threatened to sue the victims should they consider going to the authorities. The lawyer's activities came to light after the friend of one of the teens alerted the Fairfax County Police in May of 2019. The FBI got involved in the investigation and Erskine was arrested. During the legal proceedings associated with his case, the lawyer maintained that he'd thought the girls were all 18 or above. Assistant U.S. Attorney Maureen Kane stated in court that any semi-intelligent adult would know instantly that they were underage since they talked about issues with their parents, getting grounded, or college plans. Erskine was indicted on multiple charges including trafficking of minors and commercial exploitation. His license to practice law was revoked before he ultimately pleaded guilty and was sentenced to 160 months in prison. Number 6. Omar Masood. A well-respected doctor within the Cleveland Clinic hospital system was fired and arrested in the winter of 2022 after being accused of abusing his patients. According to local officials, 66-year-old Omar Masood groped at least 3 patients during exams that occurred between March and November of 2022. Masood was a gastroenterologist and the former chief of hepatology for the Cleveland Clinic. The officials reportedly took swift action after receiving complaints about Masood, but the details of the doctor's transgressions remained unclear. His position was terminated and he faced 3 counts of gross imposition and 3 counts of unlawful restraint. As a hearing of the matter approached on October the 16th of 2023, Masood pleaded not guilty by reason of insanity and requested a competency hearing. Number 5. Jim Houck and Jim Palmer. In late January of 2016, Jim Palmer, the CEO of prominent advertising agency Campbell Ewald, was fired after an offensive email surfaced. It was initially sent out at the San Antonio branch of the agency in October of 2015 by creative director Jim Houck, who reportedly answered to Palmer. He sent out the email announcing that it was officially Ghetto Day in the SA and encouraging teams to share the news that ghetto music, malt 45s at lunch, as well as drugs and escorts were legal all day at the branch. Houck also included a vintage image of 2 black men in an urban area saying, "Word, my cerebral gangsters." Houck was fired shortly after the email surfaced. Military-focused insurance company USAA, an 8-year-long account holder and one of Campbell Ewald's biggest clients, terminated his contract in the incident's wake. USAA motivated the decision as its desire to find a company more aligned with its values and culture. Palmer apologized for the offensive message, adding, "This email is in no way reflective of who we are as an agency and what we stand for." Palmer's overall handling of the situation and his failure in salvaging the relationship with USAA led to him being replaced as CEO within days of the scandal. Number 4. Alexander Alyakayev. In 2008, the body of Russian reality star Oksana Ablakeva was found by the side of the road after she'd been thrown from a moving car. Her killer, who was never identified, was determined to have returned to the scene to cover up the body in the aftermath. In 2018, the police uncovered new evidence, which led to Aplicava's body being exhumed for further forensic tests. DNA results indicated that the reality star had been abused post-mortem, not by her killer, but by the morgue technician who embalmed her. 37-year-old Alexander Alyukayev, who'd been working at the morgue for 12 years and was still employed when his actions were discovered, was promptly fired. A few months after the incident, he told the media, "I could not argue against science. I have not been able to find a job," while also revealing that his wife had left him and changed her number. The man couldn't be legally punished for having relations with Aplicava's corpse, as Russian legislation didn't cover such matters. Number 3. Lexi Larson. In June of 2022, a Denver woman took to TikTok and shared with her followers the $20,000 pay increase she'd received after she'd left her job at a marketing agency where she was earning $70,000 for a position in the tech industry. The content would backfire with dire consequences when Lexi Larson's new employers saw the video. Management was reportedly displeased with Larson publicly disclosing her salary and talked to her about the TikTok account. While they admitted that she hadn't violated any concrete policies, company representatives told her that her activity on the platform was a security concern. Larson was fired, and she subsequently announced her termination on the platform, stating, "TikTok cost me my job." The woman also revealed that she was eventually able to return to her old job following a tearful call to her former manager. Today's topic was inspired by Crime City. If you have any other topics you'd like to learn about, subscribe and let us know in the comments section below. Number 2. Sarah Jury. In the spring of 2023, a primary school teacher from Indiana spoke to the Daily Mail and revealed that she'd recently been fired for selling her nudes on OnlyFans. 41-year-old Sarah Jury had been teaching for roughly 2 decades and was working with Starbase, a collaborative program between the U.S. Defense Department and schools. The single mother of 2 had a variety of side jobs, including teeth whitening, nutrition coaching, and tutoring students outside school. Jury's activity on the adult platform was hidden behind a paywall, and those who wanted to access her explicit content were required to message her. Jury told the Daily Mail that a person she identified as a right-wing blogger had paid for her photos, which they then sent to her employer and posted on social media. Within 24 hours, Jury was called into a meeting and her employment was terminated. The woman revealed that she'd never been fired before and recalled, "I just wanted to get out of the building. I felt scared, fearful, hopeless, and confused." Jury maintained that she wouldn't have joined OnlyFans had her teaching salary been better, but admitted that she felt empowered on the platform. In the aftermath of her termination, she decided to dedicate herself to OnlyFans full-time and progress from uploading nudes to filming content with other performers. Our release on when public officials go wrong is lined up for you after number 1. In case you're itching to watch some more, they will kill you today. Number 1. Edwin Chandraharan. A head gynecologist at St. George's Hospital in South London was fired in February of 2020 after behaving inappropriately towards several of his trainees. One of the female medics, who was only identified as WX, went to a conference with Edwin Chandraharan in 2015. While driving to their destination, the senior doctor claimed that he wanted to give the woman special training and asked that their relationship be defined as commander and commandee. Chandraharan asked that WX keep their interactions in that regard a secret, as others wouldn't understand, but maintained he'd similarly mentored other trainees in the past. While in the car, Chandraharan asked the woman a question from a book he'd given her to study, and when she got it wrong, he suggested that she should take off an item of clothing. Upon arriving at the hotel, he told WX to come to his room so that they could practice a presentation. Regarding her previous mistake, Chandraharan demanded that the trainee get fully naked in front of the mirror and look at herself while he watched. He told the young woman that a mistake could mean someone's death and that she needed to have a scar to improve her skills and avoid future errors. The doctor didn't touch her, and looking back on the situation, WX felt that it was a form of mental control. They went to dinner, and afterwards, Chandra Haran told her that he was a massage expert who could make her climax by only touching her back. He gave the trainee a coin and said that she could give it back to him when she was ready to accept the pleasant experience. WX stated that Chandra Haran's behavior, given the fact that she was alone with him in a small town, had made her feel like an antelope trying to run away from a lion. WX reported him in the aftermath to management at St. George's University Hospital's NHS Foundation Trust, but was too scared of repercussions to her career and didn't file an official complaint. Chandra Haran was given an informal warning in 2017. 2 years later, however, it emerged that another female trainee, identified as YZ, had experienced a similarly disturbing experience with the doctor at a conference. While they were working in his hotel room, he repeatedly tried to massage her, and YZ made it clear that they weren't going to have relations. Chandra Haran apologized and reportedly claimed it was the first time in years he'd got his diagnosis wrong. Later on in the trip, he told the woman that she'd look back at the incident in 5 years' time and see it as a missed opportunity. WX and YZ, along with other women working for the trust, formed a WhatsApp group and brought formal allegations against the doctor. After he was fired for gross misconduct in 2020, Chandra Haran tried to sue the trust, alleging that he'd been unfairly dismissed and racially discriminated against for being British Asian, claiming that senior doctors had pressured the victims into making up stories about him because they were racists who were envious of his success. In 2022, an employment tribunal dismissed his case and criticized the disgraced doctor for his conduct. Number 8. Robert Telles. On the night of September the 2nd of 2022, Jeff German, an investigative journalist for the Las Vegas Review-Journal, was brutally stabbed to death outside his Vegas home. Investigators used surveillance footage to ascertain that the 69-year-old reporter had been murdered by an assailant wearing an orange jacket and straw hat, who'd been lying in wait on the property. DNA recovered from beneath the victim's fingertips linked Clark County Public Administrator Robert Telles to the violent crime. On September the 4th, police executed a search of Telles's home, which reportedly led them to collect further evidence against him. He was taken into custody on suspicion of murder. According to subsequent reports on the matter, Telles had long been embroiled in a contentious professional rivalry with German, who'd previously reported that the public administrator had created a hostile work environment and carried on an inappropriate relationship with a staffer. The journalist was working on a follow-up story about Telles at the time he was killed. The 45-year-old suspect pleaded not guilty to murder charges in October of 2022. Number 7. Jeff Pines. In the fall of 2017, Jeff Pines resigned from his position as city manager of Freeport, Texas, amid rumors that he was the individual responsible for money disappearing from the city's budget. Upon his departure from office, the Texas Rangers and Brazoria County District Attorney opened up an investigation into the matter, which ultimately came to a head 8 months later, in June of 2018. Investigators determined that Pines, the former police chief, had siphoned approximately $223,000 in total from the city of Freeport. He reportedly obtained the money through a variety of methods, including by giving himself unauthorized pay raises, stealing utility and water payments from different companies, and collecting kickbacks from a pair of Houston-based contractors who won bids in the city. Freeport Mayor Troy Brimage indicated that the ordeal had prompted the city to review its governmental chain of command, and they no longer have city managers report solely to themselves as a result. Pines was held in Brazoria County Jail on theft charges. In January of 2020, he was sentenced to 10 years in prison for the kickback scheme. Number 6. Dante Zarayo. A Miami Beach parking enforcement officer was arrested on December the 14th of 2019 after it emerged that he'd been extorting a pair of private businesses in the area. 57-year-old Dante Zarayo was accused of demanding $1,000 each month from a local valet company called APS Parking LLC. In exchange, the parking officer agreed not to issue the company any parking citations. The valet owner, identified as Freddie Diaz, reportedly went to the police with details of Zarayo's bribery scheme, prompting investigators to organize a sting operation aimed at catching the city employee in the act. On the 14th of December, Zarayo received a $750 payment from Diaz, while the Miami Beach Internal Affairs Unit covertly recorded the conversation between the two men. Later that same day, Zarayo was taken into police custody on charges of extortion, bribery, and accepting an unlawful compensation or reward for official behavior. During questioning, the man allegedly confessed to extorting a second business, the Mr. Jones nightclub at 320 Lincoln Road. He reportedly received $400 from the establishment for not enforcing parking regulations. Zarayo, who'd worked for the city for roughly 2 decades, was fired from his position following his arrest. Number 5. Timothy Peter Solberg. Just before midnight on January the 15th of 2022, the police in West Fargo, North Dakota, were called to the home of Assistant City Administrator Timothy Peter Solberg after receiving reports of a domestic disturbance. Upon their arrival, officers learned that the 42-year-old man and his wife had just arrived home when they got into a physical altercation. Solberg allegedly grabbed the woman by the throat and threw her to the ground, causing her to lose consciousness after her head slammed against the wall. The victim was taken to the hospital while Solberg was reportedly uncooperative with law enforcement. The city employee faced a pair of felony charges in connection to the incident, one for aggravated assault and the other for resisting arrest. The ensuing internal investigation conducted by city officials determined that Solberg had violated a number of city policies during and after the domestic episode, and he was consequently terminated. Although he initially entered a not guilty plea, the man pleaded guilty to reduced charges of disorderly conduct and preventing arrest shortly before his trial was scheduled to begin. In May of 2022, Solberg was sentenced to 1 year of unsupervised probation and was also ordered to pay a $325 fine. Number 4. Bethan Sweeney. Massachusetts State Police received a call about a school bus driving erratically on the roadway on November the 17th of 2022. The caller, a passenger on the bus, reported that the driver was swerving in and out of the painted lanes, tried to merge onto Route 3 in the wrong direction, and ran a red light. State troopers pulled the bus over in the parking lot of the Friendly's restaurant on Route 139 in Pembroke. There were reportedly 28 teenagers and 2 adult supervisors on board at the time. They'd been picked up from the Hingham United Basketball Special Olympics closing ceremony at Plymouth High School and were supposed to be on their way back to Hingham High School. During the course of the traffic stop, officers asked the bus driver, 53-year-old Bethan Sweeney, to perform a series of field sobriety tests, all of which she failed. She refused the breathalyzer and was taken into police custody. Her charges included operating under the influence of liquor, child endangerment while operating under the influence, negligent operation, reckless endangerment of a child, and having an open container of alcohol. The student athletes were subsequently brought home safely by another bus driver, while Sweeney was held at the State Police Barracks in Norwell overnight. Number 3. Michael Browning. 71-year-old Michael Browning, the manager of Gunpowder Falls State Park in Maryland, was arrested on September the 27th of 2022 after he was accused of assaulting someone multiple times. The Baldwin resident was said to have committed the repeated abuse over the course of a 6-month period while he was employed by the Maryland Park Service. A spokesperson for the Baltimore County Police Department indicated that the incidents occurred on Gunpowder State Park property. Browning, who was described as one of the few remaining armed Maryland Park Service Rangers, was held without bond on several charges, including 7 counts of assault. The victim of the abuse was identified as a female park employee who'd met Browning as a teenager while attending a youth club run by his wife. After getting a job in the parks department, the unidentified woman, now in her 20s, entered into a years-long consensual relationship with Browning. When she attempted to end the romance, however, the man allegedly assaulted her 10 to 15 times. In October of 2022, a grand jury indicted Browning on charges related to his attacks on the former employee. He denied each of the allegations levied against him. Number 2. Linda Mahai. An Australian public servant was arrested by a New South Wales joint counter-terrorism team in Parramatta on January the 23rd of 2018. A federal police detective revealed in a subsequent press release that between February and October of 2015, 40-year-old Linda Mahai had made 5 Western Union transfers in which she sent money to the militant extremist group known as the Islamic State. Mahai was accused of soliciting a schoolgirl to wire sums ranging from $1,982 and $9,810. The money was reportedly intended for the woman's brother and not for the use of planning a domestic attack. Mahai, an Australian citizen who held no other citizenships and wasn't known to the police before her arrest, consequently faced 5 counts of intentionally making funds available to or collecting funds on behalf of a terrorist organization. The case took a dramatic turn in November of 2019 when Mahai had her criminal charges dropped and she was released from custody. The woman had been fired from her job while in prison on remand but missed the deadline to file an unfair dismissal claim with the Fair Work Commission and thus was unable to return to work. Number 1. Kelly Simpson. A 15-year-old high school student from Florida, identified only by the initials DJ, got into an argument with his parents about him stealing $100 on August the 12th of 2022. According to the Charlotte County Sheriff's Office, the teen then left the family's Port Charlotte home without taking his phone, bank card, or medication. When he didn't show up for school either, DJ was officially reported missing. The following day, local authorities received a tip that the missing student had last been seen at a residence in Punta Gorda. The individual whom investigators subsequently spoke to at the address in question indicated that DJ had in fact been there but had been picked up in a black car by someone named Kelly on August the 15th. The teen's parents told police that the only Kelly they knew him to be acquainted with was his former English teacher at Charlotte High School, 31-year-old Kelly Simpson. Officers went to the latter's home and, following a brief standoff at her front door, successfully recovered the missing teen from inside. Simpson was consequently arrested on a charge of interfering with the custody of a minor after she'd housed DJ, despite knowing of his missing endangered status. It was later revealed that the teen had been enamored with his former teacher, had talked about her constantly, and had even brought coffee to her at school on occasion. Simpson was suspended from her teaching post and placed on administrative leave pending further investigation. Thanks for watching. Would you rather only work night shifts for double pay or maintain your current salary but only work 5-hour days? Let us know in the comments section below.